So in the form elements, we discussed about input type file, and already I told you that input type file supports an attribute that is multiple. So this multiple allows you to select more than one file, and already we discussed it clearly that this is not uploading the file, it is only selecting the file. So we are designing for selecting the file, not uploading the file. So this is an option that allows you to select the file, configure and select the file. Now, while selecting the file, multiple allows you to choose more than one file. It allows you to select multiple files. Now, next important in the attributes. So file allows to choose specific file type also. Specific file type. That means what kind of file is allowed. That's also important. Let's see. So yesterday we designed input type file, and I showed you that this input type file is going to display in different ways according to the situation. Means according to the browser, it is going to display in several ways. So it will not be same everywhere, every time. So here it is showing upload your resume, and currently file allows to upload any type of file. Means when I click choose file, I ask to upload resume. According to our requirement, the resume must be only Word documents or a PDF document. In that case, so we should not allow other type of files to upload. So for that, generally, what we have to do is, if we don't want to allow another type of file to upload, then we can set a filtering restriction. So the filtering restriction, already I told you, it is just only a restriction temporarily. Again, we have to change it. Again, we have to change and define according to requirements in the background logic. For example, see, suppose I am defining here only DOC files. So you can put an option here. You can put an option accept. We can write accept. So in many interviews, one question is asked, the frequently asked question: how to restrict specific file type in selection. So how to restrict specific file type in selection? The answer for this is by using accept attribute. By using accept attribute, you can do that. Specific file type we can define by using accept attribute. So here accept, currently I am not giving this accept. Then see what happens If I don't give accept, I click choose files. And here, user can select any file. For example, user can select a Word document. User can select a PPT document. User can select a JPG file. You see some PNG file. I selected open. That PNG file also will come. So currently user can choose any file. How to restrict the file type? To restrict the file type, you have to just use the option accept. So that means what you can do, use an attribute called accept. And here you have to tell the extension. I want to accept only .docx files. Accept .docx files. Now, once refresh the page and you choose files. Now, in the files list, whenever you are selecting the files, you see I selected the files here. So you observe here in the files list, other files are not there. Only docx extension files will be there. You see here, it will show file type Microsoft Word document. By default, it filters Microsoft Word document only. But remember, this is temporary filtering. It's not permanent. That means whenever user wants, he can click there and he can select all files. When we select all files, again other files also will come. So that is the reason after selecting, when user is uploading, at that time, again we have to verify. Only using this attribute will not avoid uploading other type of files. So you have to know that. So this is only for selection. After giving accept, user can choose any another type also if he select all files. For example, I want to allow to upload only JPG files. Then what we can do is we can give here .jpg. And here I will say upload your photo, something. Now, when I click here, you see when I click choose files, now in the choose files option, when I click there, you see, so JPG image files, others will not come. Word documents are not present. But I click here and select all files. Again, all files will come. That means it's temporarily filtering. But it is good so that the user can choose it easily. But very important is when you specify the file type, it will not restrict others. It will hide others. Whenever you want, you can display them. So that is the reason through JavaScript and jQuery, we have to design the logic for verifying what type of file he selected. Based on that, we need to submit. This is okay. Temporarily, we are filtering the data and we are displaying the data. Temporarily, we are filtering and displaying the data. That is what actually accepts. You can define multiple also. Just you have to put a pipe symbol. A pipe symbol, and you keep here .png like this. That means this indicates that when I click choose files, this indicates that .jpg and .png, both files are allowed. You can keep custom files. You can keep custom, or people have an habit here. So JPG, comma PNG. Suppose I am writing like this. That means our intention is to define JPG and PNG files. You can see, you can just use a comma. JPG and PNG files only will come. Others will not come. Others will not display. So here it will say custom files, custom files. So you can just write JPG, PNG, .doc, whatever file types you want, you can define. If there are multiple, that means it will allow only these type of files, this type of files. There is another technique. You can write extensions or you can write MIME type. If you remembered, I told you MIME types. We can write MIME type like image/JPEG like this. We can write the MIME type also. That MIME type also allows you to select only those type of files. Only those type of files, JPG files, whatever files are there, only those files it allows you to upload. So that means it will allow only those type of files. It will not allow any other type of files. So you can use MIME type or you can use the extension. MIME type or extension you can define. So how we can configure that syntactically? To restrict specific file type, we have to use input type is equal to file, and we have to use an attribute accept. Accept is equal to we have to specify accept MIME type or extension. I will just use syntax first. MIME type or extension. MIME type or extension. We have to define that. MIME type or extensions we need to configure. And technically input type is equal to input type is equal to file, and accept. Here we have to define image/JPEG like this. Or you can also define input type is equal to file, accept is equal to .jpg like this. You can configure it. That is, you can configure multiple also. Input type is equal to file, accept is equal to .jpg, .jpg and .png, and you can also write multiple. It allows you to handle multiple. So user can select more than one file. That's defined by using multiple. So this is generally how to enable the selection of files. Next important, we have input, color input. You have color input, file input, color input. Color input, it allows the user to select, it allows the user to select a color from a color panel, a color from color panel. For that, it's very simple. We have an option called input type is equal to color. Input type is equal to color. It allows you to select a color input. User can choose a color input. But this is also not supported on every browser. So, but if it is supported, we can use it. So for example, so here we are defining select a color. Then here we can define input type is equal to color. Input type is equal to color. Some name is equal to, so color. Okay. Now you can see a color picker will come. And you can click in the color picker. It allows you to select a color. You can choose the range of colors here and select a color. It will show the RGB value for that color, and that color is selected. And when I click on register, it will submit that color code actually. It will submit the color code. So in the URL, it cannot submit the symbols like hash and other special characters. That is the reason it uses some numbers. But finally, while reading, it will use it. You can put a default color also. That means you can put value, and value you can put any color. For example, I written red. So here you can see whenever it opens the page, so it opens the page, it is not giving that red. So the colors in general elements, suppose we are giving hexa code like hash, to give the red color, you know that you have to use RGB format. So here I given, so FF0000 like this, the color value I given, now it will get it. That means the color input can understand only the color codes, not the color names. If you want any default color to display, you have to use a color code. Hexadecimal codes already I told you. You can put a 3-digit, 3 characters code with hash or 6 characters code with the hash. So color, if you want any default color, then you can define the color codes. So syntactically, how we can define color. So input type is equal to color and the name is equal to some color, and the value we can define here as hash FF0000 like this. That's how we can put the default color if you want any default color. This is file input, color input. So we have a lot of input types available. So text, passwords, numbers, dates, how we can input the colors, how we can input the files, so many things. Next, in the forms, very important, you need to know about radio buttons. Radio buttons. How we can design radio buttons and work. What is the purpose of radio buttons? We can understand. Actually, majority radio buttons, how they look like, I will show you. Actually, for a non-technical person, if you ask, so what is the purpose of radio button? So generally, the non-technical people who don't know technically about it, they will give you one answer, so that radio buttons are used for selecting any one option. For example, see, here you can see, I'm showing you on the screen. We have text effects. You see, these are radio buttons. No fill, solid fill, and gradient fill. 3 options are there, and these are radio buttons actually. These are radio buttons, no fill, solid fill, gradient. And when I click no fill is selected. When I click solid fill is selected. And no fill is deselected. And gradient, then solid fill is removed, gradient is selected. By seeing this, majority of people think that radio button is used for selecting one option out of all. Actually, it is happening like that here. So radio button is selecting one option out of 3. It is allowing to select only one out of 3. Any one is selected. And this is the general definition any technical or non-technical person will give you. He will say that if you ask what is purpose of radio button, he will say it is used to select any one option. But actually, radio button allows to select one or multiple options. It will allow to select one or multiple options. So that means technically you should not say that radio is used for selecting one option. I will show you. Radios allows to select one or multiple options. Let's prove this here. Suppose I am asking here, select gender. And here I am defining the gender. So I am giving here input type is equal to radio. input type radio, we'll put a radio button. We'll put a radio. Here I am giving the text as male. Okay. I am giving another radio. Input type is equal to radio. And here I am giving female. So that means two radio buttons are present. You see two radio buttons are present. One is male and female. Now see here, I am selecting male. It's selected. I am selecting female. That's also selected. Then if anybody says radios are used to select only one option, so this is proved wrong, because radios will allow to select one option or multiple options. That's not the correct point. So radios allows to select one or multiple. But problem is, what is the problem with radio is, radio button once checked cannot be unchecked. Cannot be unchecked. Radio button once checked cannot be unchecked. That is problem with radio button. For example, so you selected male and female. I want to remove female and I click on female. It's not working. It's not deselected. I'm clicking on male. It's not deselected. I have to restart. That means I have to refresh the page. Now they are deselected. See, I selected male. I want to deselect. So I am clicking on male. It's not working. That means the problem with radio is once they checked, they cannot be unchecked. You have to restart the process. You have to restart the process. That means you have to refresh the page. You cannot deselect a radio button. That's not possible. That is one big problem with radio button. That is the reason what we have to do is, so radio button once checked, it cannot be unchecked. So that is why radio button is used with mutex mechanism. Mutex mechanism. Actually, mutex means mutual exclusion. It is a concept of multi-threading. Mutex means mutual exclusion. Radio button is used with mutex mechanism. Mutex mechanism means, technically mutex mechanism is nothing but mutex mechanism allows, I will show you. Let me show you in a diagram. Actually, mutex mechanism is nothing but, suppose we have process. So that means this is considered as, suppose, your computer process. So this is process. Now here we have two tasks. In the process, we are having two tasks. So task 1 and task 2. Two tasks are present. Now generally what happens is, the first task is sent into process. When the first task is sent into process, it is in the process, it cannot come out. It cannot come out of that process. It is stuck in the process. Now you send another task into process. The second task also goes into process. And this is also stuck in the process. It will not come out. So that's what happening for radio button. That means you selected one radio button. It is unable to come out. You selected female. This is also sent into process. It is unable to come out. That means these two are in the process, but unable to come out. When they will come out, if I reset the process, when I reset the process, then the two tasks will come out. The two tasks will come out. When I reset the process, the two tasks will come out. That means when I refresh the page, these two tasks will come out. the two tasks will come out. That's what happened. So this is generally how the process is working. So out of these two tasks, only one task should work. Then what we can do is we can make these two tasks run on single thread. That means we need to tie these two tasks to one thread. We call as one thread, single thread. If you tie these two tasks to one thread, then what happens is, so first task will go into process. From the same thread, if another task comes into process, then what will happen is it will send the first task out of the process. Because both belongs to same thread, then out of two, only one will be working. You send task one into process, then task two will come out. You send task two into process, then task one will come out. Similarly, if you have three tasks, out of three, only one will be working. This mechanism of mutual exclusion, is called as mutex. In short, we call it as mutex. So how we can make these two tasks run on single thread? Two tasks run on single thread. We can make the two tasks run on single thread. By using a common name for them. So for both radio buttons, we have to give a name, gender, the same name for second radio also. If there are 3, 4, for all of them, give a common. That means you are giving a common name, means you are making all these under one thread. If you are making all these under one thread, that means out of these two, only one is allowed in the process. So now see what happens. I selected male, so it's selected. If I want to deselect male, you click on male, it's not deselected. You just select female, now male will be deselected. By seeing this, people may think that the radio button is allowing to select only one option. The radio button is allowing to select only one option. Actually, the radio button allows to select one option or multiple options also. So, but the problem with radio button is once it is selected, it cannot be deselected. That is the reason radio button is used with combination of other radio buttons by using a mutex mechanism. So mutex mechanism, so that is mutual exclusion. That is what I said. I hope you haven't heard 1 radio button, 2 radio button, 3 radio button, 4 radio button. Any number of radio buttons, you have to give a common name. Heard everyone? Heard it? I know your brains are genius brains. If I say 2 radio button, now 1 more will come. What about 3 radio buttons? That's what I already told you. I know your brains now. That's the reason I already told you that even 2, even 3, even 4, any number of radio buttons, you have to give a common name. Don't think that here I am giving 2 radio button, what will happen for 3rd radio button? Okay. Great, very great. So if you follow, it's very easy. 4 radio buttons also same, right? For 4 radio buttons or 5 radio buttons, you have to give the common name. More than 5, 6 also, you have to give the common name. Understood? Very good. Right. Now, next important. while working with radio buttons, one more important option is, already I told you, if you give common name, out of all radio buttons, how many will be selected? Out of all radio buttons, how many will be selected? Now this genius, who is this genius? Amit genius, you are asking question that how to select two. Don't you think that is very foolish? Huh? Amit Benki, don't you think that that is a foolish question? Huh? Silly? Mature, get little bit matured in your questions, okay? I am saying that if I give all same name, only one will be selected, and your genius question is to select two options. Don't be so foolish in your questions again, okay? So I hope everybody understood that radio buttons, if you don't give same name, what will happen? If you don't give same name, what will happen? If you don't give same name, what will happen? If you don't give same name, what will happen? If same name is not given, then what will happen? Every radio button is independent and user can select more than one also. Understood? Yeah. User can select all. User can select all. Right. If name is not given, every radio button is independent. Suppose if I give different name, one gender, another is suppose some option, something like this. That means two have two different names. Now both belong to same category, both belong to same thread, both belong to same thread, both belong to same thread. Now both doesn't belong to same thread. Then what will happen? Both are independent. Male can be selected, female can be selected. To make them work on same thread, you have to give same name. Same name. Understood? So you have to give the same name. So out of these two, only one will be selected. Either 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 100 or infinity, any number, you have to give a same name. Next important, so we have another option. By default, if you want any radio to select, then you have to use checked property. Checked indicates that by default it is selected. That means by default one option is selected. If I give checked for both, because both are having the same name, if I give checked for both, then only last one will be selected. So you should not give checked for both if they are having the same name, only one, because even you give, only last one will be selected. So for that you have to use checked property. So here input type is equal to radio and name is equal to some gender, something like this. You can give name and whatever text you want, you can display the text. Beside it, you have to display the text. And if you want selected, that means then we have to use checked property, checked attribute. Checked attribute is used to select a radio, to select a radio. Checked attribute is used to select a radio. It makes the radio selected by using checked. Now, one more important option here. So you have to know is by default, by default, by default, radio button, radio button submits on as value. This is also very much asked in interviews. So if anybody asked you, like, when I submit a radio button, what it will submit? Actually, by default, the radio button submit an attribute on. So value on. So that is the reason. So you have to define a value. If value is not defined, then it will submit on, only on. You see now, I am not giving any value. And you see, when I click on register, when I click on register, you can see that. So on register click, it is submitting gender on. It is submitting gender on. Gender on. So any gender, you select male or female, you register, it submits on only, the word on. So if anyone asks, what does a radio button submits? By default, it submits the word on. Then it is difficult to understand which one is on. Either male is on, female is on. That's the reason it's important to give a value for radios. So the value for first radio is male. The value for second radio is female. And now it is good. Now I am selecting female and click on register, then gender is equal to female. So male, then it is gender is equal to male. That's what it is going to display. So if value is not defined, by default it will submit on. So you have to define a value also. So input type is equal to radio and name is equal to some gender and value is equal to some male or female, something like this we have to define. And text, we have to define the text beside. So this text is not submitted. So only the value is submitted. So, and if you don't define the value, it will submit on. That's the reason you have to define a value. And in a page, there can be several radio buttons, but you have to group them according to the situation. For example, this is related to gender. Suppose I am giving another option. So payment mode. So here I am giving another input type is equal to radio. And the name I given as pay. And here I given as suppose cash. So, and in the next here, input type is equal to radio. And this also name as pay. And here I given as some UPI, something. And another option, input type is radio. So name, this is also pay. And here I say credit card. And here you can see now. So two categories are. One category out of this gender, these two, one will be selected because they are given with one name. Similarly, second category is having a different name. Then out of these three, only one will be selected. Only one will be selected. Suppose by mistake for this cash, I given gender. Then even you write in a separate location in a page. Now male, female, cash, these three belongs to one category. You see female, you select cash, then female is the select. That means wherever it may be, name matters. That is the reason. Make sure that you are giving the correct name according to the category. So wherever you keep them. So if you have a different location also, if name is same, then it will select that. It will select. So make sure that you are not giving that name anywhere else. Otherwise, you will have a problem. So these three belongs to one category and above two belongs to one category. By using name, you can classify like that. So that is usually done by using the radio buttons. So technically using the radio buttons. So radio buttons are used for exhibiting mutex mechanism. So mutual exclusion. So don't say that radio buttons are used for selecting one option. That is very non-technical people's answer. Radio buttons are used for exhibiting mutex mechanism, because if anyone says radio button is used to select only one option, that is proved wrong every time. If I don't give a same name, if I give different name, then every radio button is independent. And user can select multiple radio buttons also. That is the reason you should say radios are used for exhibiting mutex mechanism. Now similarly, another checkbox. Checkbox is same like radio, but what is advantage is actually checkbox allows to select, to check and uncheck, any option, to check and uncheck any option. So it can be used to select, one or multiple. It can be used to select one or multiple, but advantage is it is used for check and uncheck. It allows you to check and uncheck. It doesn't require any mutex mechanism. That means even you define a common name, So even you define same name. Every checkbox is individual. Even you give a same name, every checkbox is individual. So you don't have a problem for that. So even you define same name, every checkbox is individual. So here when you are defining, so let's put the checkbox here. Suppose I'm giving an option here, data term. So select some courses. So here we have a data definition here, and here I configured input type is equal to checkbox, and here I define some Oracle. So input type is equal to checkbox. So say full stack. Okay, and input type is equal to checkbox, some .NET, something like this. Now you can see here, user can select check and user can uncheck. You can deselect. Even you don't give a name, and even you give a common name. That means I given a name courses. Okay, I given a name courses. Even you give the common name. So name courses, even you give the common name, and you can see, refresh, you can see it is going to select all. So you can choose multiple. Even you give the same, you can choose one or multiple options from the list. So when you submit, again, these all will submit on. You see courses on. So that is the reason these also should have a value. You need to define value. If you don't give value, they will submit on. All will submit on. Then it is difficult to understand which one select. So full stack. So value full stack. And here the value is .NET, like this. Now when user is selecting here, so here when user is selecting, you can see I'm choosing these options. Now full stack and .NET, and click on register, it will get them. Full stack courses .NET. So same like radio button only, but only the point is it allows you to check and uncheck. You can use for selecting multiple or one. And very important, checkboxes can be checked. You can give multiple checked so that all will be selected. You see, both are selected. If you want, you can allow to select multiple also. So that is generally how we can design the checkboxes, how we can configure checkboxes. So checkbox and radio buttons are similar. Only one difference is the radio will allow to choose one if you defined mutex, and they will be not unchecked. So you have to restart the process to uncheck them or use mutex mechanism. But checkboxes allow to check and uncheck the option. You can use for both selecting one or multiple options. Now, in many interviews, one question very much asked is how to create a checkbox list. Actually, there is no checkbox list. Checkbox list means actually, suppose there are 20, 30 options. Then showing 20, 30 options side by side, one below another, will be very difficult. It's not good for page. Then generally, many times in interviews for UI developers, they ask question like, I want a checkbox list. Checkbox list means, so the checkboxes must be in such a way that if there are many items, user must able to scroll and watch. That means user can scroll. There must be a scroll bar so that user can scroll up and down. And you can see, because there are 20, 30 options, out of that user have to select any one option. Then I need to scroll up and down and watch. I can't display all 20 like this. Of course, you already know how to display side by side, how to display 2 columns, 3 columns. Already we'll discuss about that. So you can arrange them in 2 columns, 3 columns side by side. So, or a checkbox list. So by using your, suppose I want to display in 2 columns, 3 columns, you already learned that technique. So for example, suppose we want to display in multiple columns. Suppose we have these options defined. See, we are writing this in an unordered list. Unordered list. And here in unordered list, I am giving this as list item. First one list item. And second one, another list item. And the third one, another list item. So third one, another list item. We are defining all these list items. So, and one more option, I defined another list item. Input type is equal to checkbox. And here, checked optional name is courses. And here value is some Java. So, and here I defined some Java. And you see, now we have the options in this way. I want to arrange them in 2 columns, 3 columns. You know that. For that, already we learned the techniques. We can split them by using style. By using style, so we can configure the display style. So we can use display. So that is for unordered list. Display, we have to give as grid. So after giving display as grid template columns, we have to give the columns as 2 columns. So that means 6 fractions and 6 fractions. That means it will arrange into 2 columns. That means, and one more option is unordered list, list style as list style we give as none. If I give list style none and configure this, and it will display like this. You can keep them side by side. So according to how many number of columns you want, you can arrange the content. Already we know this. That means how we can split into multiple columns. But here the point is, how we can create a list so that user can scroll. Actually, I will remove this display style none. Okay. Now you can see here. So this is generally showing the list. And I will copy some more list options here. Some more. Let's copy and paste some more. So that so many are there. So many are there. And I have to scroll up and down and display in the paging. We don't want like that. So then in many design requirements, they ask like, I want a checkbox list. I want a checkbox list. Then for the checkbox list, so there is no HTML element for that. You have to design with style. What I will do is for unordered list, I will keep here list style none, and we will keep a border as 2 pixel solid. Okay, we will put padding as 5 pixel. Okay, now you can see it will look like this. It will look like this. Okay, I will keep here height as some 150 pixels. Okay, now it will be like this. Suppose it is 100 pixels. Okay, it will be like this. Now the point is width also I will give width as some 150 140 pixels. So width is like this. Now you see the contents are below that height. Now you can do one simple thing. Overflow you can give as auto. If I give overflow auto, then automatically a scroll bar will come and it will display like a list. That is the simple approach. So we don't have any control like that. We have to design with our styles. We have to design with our styles. Many times people ask this type of requirement. So I want a checkbox list. But actually there is no checkbox list in HTML. You don't have any checkbox list. But you can design such checkbox list by using your CSS knowledge. So what we are doing here is we are keeping this unordered list with height and width adjusted and border and padding defined. And according to the height, the contents will go below. That means overflow. When they overflow, we have to set overflow as auto. Then automatically a scroll bar will come. Then user can scroll up and down and user can select. That means now user can choose one or multiple, user can deselect those options. User can choose that, and this is basically done by using the CSS overflow option. By using CSS overflow, you can design like. For radios also, you can do same. If there are many items for radios, for general checkboxes, you can handle this kind of situation. One more important, very commonly used requirement is there. I will show you. That means checkboxes and radios have a checked property. Based on that checked property, we have to know about one more CSS option. For example, see. Suppose I'm giving here a simple design like this. Let's create one sample design for displaying the context. So for checkboxes and radios, this is very commonly used. You have to know. I will remove these styles. Here I'm giving a heading saying that license. So license terms or terms of service, like this, terms of service. Okay. In this terms of service, suppose we are giving a div and here giving an ID terms, and here we added some heading and accept here our terms and conditions. And below that you have some paragraph. It's a temporary. Some paragraph information we will copy there. Some paragraph information. Who is this? Sunil Kumar. Sunil Kumar, do you have time or very urgent? You have to leave for some other country by breaking this class now. It's very urgent. You are leaving for any other country, you have flight time. I am discussing a topic. This foolish, who is this fool? Sunil Kumar. This fool comes with a question, how to design a drop down. You can't wait. Why you are so hyper excited? Third variant attacked to you. Third variant attacked. Why you are so overexcited? Can't you wait? Next time, if you people disturb the class in this way, I will kick you out of the class. Block. Okay. Don't know how these fools comes into class. Have little bit common sense, man. Have little bit common sense. Class common sense. Yeah. Time waste. These people waste a lot of time. Now think little bit matured, have little bit common sense in the class. I am discussing one topic, you are talking about another topic. Right. Let's paste this now. Yeah. This is some terms of service we design. Here, generally with checkboxes, one regular requirement comes. That's the point we are learning here. Now, below this, I will keep a div again. Okay, here we have a checkbox. Input type is equal to checkbox. And here beside the checkbox, I given an option as a span here as I accept. Okay. Now this is the option. Okay, for this terms. So for this terms, I will give hash terms. We will give width some 300 or 400 pixels. And here I given height as 200 or 300 pixels. And here we are defining some border as 1 pixel solid. And that's fine. Okay, so with a little bit some 500, 600. Okay, fine. Let's keep this little bit padding as 2 pixels. Okay, we have this condition. And overflow already we know. Overflow we will keep auto. That will keep a scroll bar. You can have a scroll bar here. You can have a scroll bar. Now below this, you can see, so for this margin bottom some 30 pixels. Okay, it shifted down. Okay, below this we have I accept. So now this I accept is a span and we have a checkbox. Now what we have to do is, so we have to define this checkbox with an ID as accept. Okay. Now this accept is checkbox. So here we are defining configuring. So accept, I will give hash accept. Okay. By default, beside accept, there is a span. Then we have to use space, or you can just use other symbols. I will tell you later. So here I can just use tilde and span. Like this, we can write that tilde symbol. I will put a color as red. That means you can see. So it will be red in color. Tilde indicates adjacent. Adjacent. It indicates adjacent. Adjacent means beside it. So beside it, because span can be several ways, but it is beside accept. If it is beside accept, its color will be red color. That is adjacent selector. That is an adjacent select. Now I am writing here. So another option, hash, if accept is checked, we have a checked status, colon checked. If it is checked, then span, then color should be green, like this video. This checked is a CSS selector. That means if accept spelling, right? Accept, yeah. If accept is checked, then its color, span color will be green. You see now, when I select accept, so checkbox, then it will be green color. That means the accept word changes to green color. And I remove the check, then it will be in red color. That means you can change the color according to the selection. According to the selection. That's what generally checked property is used for. Based on that, logically we can handle so many other things. We can logically handle so many things. But initially, while working with checkboxes, this is very regularly used. So checked is a property available. If checked attribute you define, by default it is selected and it is green color. If you remove, then it will be in red color. By default, when page opens, it is checked, then it is in green color. If you remove, it will be in red color. So that is the adjacent we are applying by using check. For checkboxes, we have this checked option, how we can create a checked. So for radios and checkboxes, how we can display the options and configure. These all examples are already given in the notes. At forms concept, all these examples are given in the notes. You can check them. So the example for list checked box, for this kind of colors and effects, all the examples are given. So this is working with checkboxes and list boxes, how we can deal with them. Next important, after understanding the checkbox and radius, now we have drop down and list boxes, how we can design drop down and list box. And some more form elements are there that we will see in our next session. Okay. Monday we will discuss about that.